So welcome to a short video, a short tutorial on how to use Microsoft Project. Microsoft Project is a very powerful tool that allows you to schedule tasks, as you can see here on the screen. We're going to be doing a very simple chart in a couple of seconds, but just to give you an idea of how this would look, you'll see here you've got the tasks down this side of your screen, typical house build project. You've got the preparation of the site, the substructure, superstructure, the roof, all the way down to the finish of the project. Okay, so that's where your tasks are. You'll have a duration for each of these tasks, and then when we set it into a particular mode, you'll see how this starts to automatically roll out. So the first thing we need to do is to start a new project. So if you were to start afresh, you would go down to the very bottom of your screen where it's got this little start button, and then you would go down to either Microsoft Project, or you go down to where it says Microsoft Office. So in this case, I've got, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, Microsoft Project 2016. You would click on that, and then you should then end up in a new blank project, something similar to this. So along the top here, we've got a ribbon, a very similar term to AutoCAD. We've got some quick access toolbar functions here. If we click on this downward arrow here, customize quick access toolbar, you get a new function, the open, undo, and so on. There's a couple of more commands that you can actually do as well. We're not going to be using too much of that, but what we will be using are these 5 core tabs here, these ribbon tabs. The first one is the File tab. Second one is Task, and then Resource. Report will not be using so much. Project and View. We will be using Format as well, but the main ones are File, Task, Resource, Project, and View. Down at the bottom here, you'll have a status bar, and we'll see how that works as well. And then over to the right of the screen, this is where you're going to see your durations. Now we can change the durations either from days or minutes to, say, weeks. So if I was to go into the File tab here, and then I went down to Options, I would be able to change how the whole Gantt chart looks by clicking on Schedule. And as you can see here, it shows you that the duration is set to days at this point in time. Now I could change that to, like I said, I could change it to weeks or months, but I'm going to keep it on days just now, just to show you how this works. At the moment, all my tasks are going to be manual until I change them. Now I could change them to auto scheduled, which I prefer to do. So let's change it to auto scheduled just now, and then we'll click OK. Right, so let's just take a very simple project, and let's imagine that we're just doing, say, 5 tasks altogether, and that first task would be to secure funding for a project. So I'm going to put in secure funding and purchase. So you're going to purchase a site. Okay, when you've done that, just hit enter, and it will come up with some basic baseline figures or basic dates. Okay, we're going to change those in a minute. In fact, you'll see how that automatically ripples down throughout the whole project, the whole Gantt chart. There you'll see on the task mode, if you hover over that, it's automatically scheduled. If I wanted to, I could manually schedule that again, okay? But I want to keep this to automatically scheduled, as I want to do with every other task. The next task I want to do, or the next activity, is going to be obtain funding. So I wanted to obtain obtain planning permission. And then enter. And as you enter these tasks, you'll see that they're numbered down the side here on the left-hand side. Now, we're not going to worry too much about the duration just yet. I just want to get these other tasks in. So obtain building warrant would be the next one. Okay, so this is just an example just to get you going. Enter. And the next one would be the actual construction of the house. So construction of house, enter. And then the next one would be handover. And then enter. Now, if we wanted to make or put in some durations here, let's say we wanted to put in a duration of 100 days for, this is just a random figure for securing the funding and purchasing the site. You'll see then that when I put in 100 days, obviously that's going to make that duration a lot more here, that bar at the top of your chart. Okay, the next one we're going to put in here for obtaining planning permission, let's just put in a figure of say 60 days. Okay, 2 months, probably a bit more, but 2 months is fine for the purposes of this exercise. And then obtain building warrant, is that should say? I'm just going to make sure I got that right. Building warrant. So you can make changes to these by just clicking into the cell and just making any particular change you need to. Okay, let's make that say 40 days. Okay, now you don't put in days, okay, because it's already scheduled to actually recognize it as days. And then the next one is going to be construction of house. So let's put in there 120 and enter. And then the handover. Now a handover is basically one of those kind of, when you breathe a sigh of relief, it's a milestone, right? We call that a milestone. So we're actually not going to give that a duration. We're just going to call that 0. Okay, and you'll see when I press the button, it changes to milestones. So if I was to hover over this here, it would say milestone. That's a point when you can kind of raise your arms in success and say, right, we've done it. Okay, so milestones are important. You might not think that, but for example, a milestone might be something like actually getting the building wind and watertight. Okay, so we'll go on to that in another video. So the next thing is to link all of these tasks together. And if I kind of use the bottom right of my screen here, you'll see a little zoom function. You can zoom in and out a bit. It just takes a wee bit of getting used to this. And you can use your scroll bar to move from side to side just to get an idea of where your tasks sit. So the first thing is we need to set some predecessors, and the purpose of predecessors is to give an idea of the dependency of each task. Now in this case, task 1, right, really doesn't have a dependency, but task 2 here, right, depends on task 1 being completed. So what we would do here is we would put in that the predecessor of task 2 is going to be task 1, and then enter. Now once you enter, you'll see then that there's a little kind of an arrow link that links task 1 to task 2 here. Okay, this is called a finish to start relationship. It's a dependency. Finish to start basically mean that in order for obtaining planning permission to start, the securing of funding and purchasing of the site has to finish first. Now we can change that, but we'll look at that in a more detailed video later. Let's do the same now for task 3. So we can say that task 3 depends on task 2 being completed, and then we'll enter that, and you can see now that it starts to show a bar chart with the different relationships and the different links shown. Okay, we'll do the same for task number 4. We'll just put in task 3 for that. Just to get a little bit of a view on that, we'll use the bottom right of our screen where you've got a little zoom function. Okay, and then the last task, well, it's not really a duration, but we still need to give it a dependency, so we'll give that a number 4, and you can see now how that all starts to link together. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it here just now, and then we will move on to some other functions on Microsoft Project.